Integrity-based selling combines the power, the awesome, awesome power of identity with the concept of selling the right products to the right people for the right reasons. There is a lot of people out here that they're so product-centric in today's society that they get a product and all they care about is trying to sell it to everybody without first going in and finding out what are the needs of the clients that we're actually dealing with. Right? Those of you in service-based and tailor-based industries know this flat out. Otherwise, you're just not going to be, you don't stay in business with a one-size-fits-all these days. But more than that, behind that is a set of values. And I want to make a real clarification, a real point here, because what some people say is, oh, well, that means I'll just go to the people that want my product. No, that's not what salesmanship is all about. If we look at the pyramid, the top 3% that are buying now are only buying now because they believe they want the product. The other 97% of people that Chet talks about and demonstrates and explains, they need to be driven up the pyramid through education. Yeah, that's what a core story is all about. Yeah, you're all getting that now. But in order to do that, if we tie in the right kind of market data, we will start to educate people. If we tie in their identity like I'm going to be showing you, the great news about that is that you will then start to get them to sell themselves on the product, not because of anything other than who they are. The whole point of selling the right products to the right people for the right reasons, it's almost like setting buying criteria, but if the person isn't right for the product, they'll deal themselves out of the game. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing. Do we want to sell the wrong products to the wrong people for the wrong reasons? No. Right? So this kind of integrity-based selling, it's why I call it integrity-based selling. We're using the power of identity because if somebody doesn't fit or their identity doesn't fit your product or it doesn't support or serve them, yeah, then don't do it. Right? We are not selling rollerblades to pensioners in their hundreds here. Right? As I'm sure some people would probably want to have a go at. Yeah? But I'll be a customer when I'm 100 anyway. I think we all know that. So anyway, let's talk about identity. 3 very powerful facts. People never, ever rise above the opinion of themselves, ever. Sorry, guys, just the way it is. People do not rise above the opinion of themselves, ever. As much as you would like them to, as much as we try and hold their hand, as much as it's a case of, oh no, come on, you can do it, and encourage them, if the opinion of themselves is lower than the standards you set, they're going to lose. Yeah, we often ask ourselves questions, why is it hard to motivate sales staff? Why is it hard to try and coach people in a certain way? And we give them the strategies, we give them the tools, we give them the techniques, we do all the fancy stuff, but if we don't change their sense of self, right, guess what? Yeah, there's a whole principle called the self-sabotage technique which is going to come in. I'm going to go through that in quite detail shortly. So yeah, number 1, please take that, Pete's Law number 1. I've got lots of them. All right. People never rise above the opinion of themselves, ever. Second one, powerful fact. The most powerful force in the entire human persona is the need to remain consistent with how you define yourself. I was very proud when I wrote that last night. But no, what it really means is this. How you see yourself, your sense of identity, your sense of self governs your behavior. And it is the strongest governor of your behavior. How many people here run? Do you see yourself as a runner? It's part of your identity. Yeah? Runners run. That's why they run. That's why you keep getting up and keep going to run. Not because you now think, oh, it's a goal on my list. It's because it's now part of your identity, so you'll keep going out and run. Yeah? Winners continually win if that's their identity. Yeah? Losers, wrong, but thank you for playing. Right? No amount of winning lottery tickets or numbers is going to help people like that if they don't change their sense of identity. Yeah, we can talk about labels. Labels are so powerful and they can be used constructively and they can be used very destructively. Yeah, a constructive label, if you put something on it, anything you attach the words I am to with enough consistency, whether it's to somebody else or yourself, will have a very profound impact on how you show up day to day. More than anything else. Yeah, we see medical professions are God bless them, but if they understood this, it would change people's behavior patterns dramatically. Anybody here suffer from diabetes? Anybody here know anyone that suffers from diabetes? Yeah? Well, unfortunately, what most doctors do or what most medical professions do is they then label them, not somebody who suffers from diabetes, they label them a diabetic. Now that I am a, fill in the blank, then governs their entire sense of self, their behavior, their self-esteem, their actions, everything. They are not a diabetic. They're a person who just happens to suffer from diabetes. Can you see the subtle but very distinct difference there? Right? It's guaranteed the most powerful force in the human persona, the need to remain consistent with how you, not anybody else, define yourself. And the third fact, as we just said, how you see yourself determines your behavior and, most importantly, what you buy. Now, knowing that, how cool is that? How cool is it for us? Can you start to see where I'm going with this? Yeah, I mean, let's just take that example up there. Yeah, if you're healthy, you will buy healthy food. Yeah, if your identity is that of a healthy person. If your identity is that of a lazy person, you'll probably buy ready meals. If your identity is someone that cannot cook, right, you are not going to get creative when you go shopping. If your identity is that of a chef, you're always going to be looking for new ingredients. You're always going to be looking for, how else can I combine this? Or, oh, I wonder what it would happen if I put this in as well. Right? And that's just shopping we're talking about. So the self-sabotage principle, I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to rapidly go over some of the things that I talked about at GMK1, because I think it's very important, especially hearing from Betsy last night about the second time she heard Alex, and it all sinks in. So for those of you that are here just for the first time, just pretend you've heard me before, it'll all be fine. Trust me. There's something called the self-sabotage principle, and it's based on what I call a thermostat. Now, I know the smart ones of you know that's a thermometer, but I told you it was late, right? The thermostat, and it works like this. Every one of you and myself and everybody else that we meet have what I call a resonant temperature. And our identity is tied to that resonant temperature. In fact, it governs it flat out. So what that means is, let's just say on a scale of 1 to 100, I see myself as a 50-degree person. Yeah, I'm 50 degrees. Now, if what I equate that to in monetary terms, in success terms, in value terms, in productivity terms, in how I'm going to be a parent terms, if all of a sudden I start doing far better, let's say I get up to 70, 80 degrees, wow, seems good on the surface, everything's going great, but how many of you here have had a situation where all of a sudden, for no apparent reason whatsoever, you start screwing things up? All right? Yeah? You can put your hands up, don't worry. Right? Yeah, the video can't see the back of you. But no, it's about, all of a sudden the brain clicks into gear and goes, hang on, what are you doing up here? This is 70 degrees. I'm a 50-degree person. Get the hell back down there. Right? Can I say that on camera, Bob? Yes. Thank you. Right? Yeah? Get down there. Right? And all of a sudden, we don't know why, but we start screwing things up. We start not making the phone calls. We start easing back. We start doing the things, confusing ourselves with being active versus productive. And it's all because, we have this resonant temperature. Conversely, all of a sudden, I've been having my nice little identity, 2.2 kids and a mortgage and a certain income stream, and I lose that and I drop down. And I start getting cold and I drop to 20 degrees. My brain kicks in and says, hey, Pete, you better get the hell back up there. This is not who I am. Notice the language. Yeah? Not, this isn't the income that I generally settle for. This is not who I am. Now, whenever you catch yourself saying that, boom, you will take action. And nobody will be able to stop you. Yeah? No last episode of Friends is ever going to keep you from doing what you want to do, right, if you're dropped below that thermostat. Now, there's obviously a sort of a comfort zone either way, which we can tend to get in and sit in. But we get too high, if our identity's not corrected, it'll put us down. We get too low, it'll kick us back up. Just like a thermostat, which is why I call it a thermostat. So it's the hidden determinant between your goals and your results. Now, if that's news for some of you here today, then fantastic. Yeah, please take that away, it'll serve you. Yeah, if you disagree with some of the stuff I'm going to say up here, that's fine. I've got the microphone. Ha. No, just kidding. That's fine. That's what makes things happen. But I can guarantee you this, that I went after this information with a passion. Yeah, it was like, what is the difference that makes the difference? Yeah, why do some people with all of the resources in the world get the bat off their shoulder and drop it? And those that have no resources go out and produce outstanding results time after time. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with external circumstances or interest rates or the competition or the marketplace we're in or our sales manager that didn't turn up on Monday morning. Right? Everything starts here. Once we understand the power of identity, everything shifts. So the $1 million question for you. What is my value? You didn't think it was going to get this deep today, did you? Ah. Another question. How do you know? Is it something you read in a book and thought, I'll adopt that as my goal, but the identity never really brought it on board? Or are you one of the people that are currently at below thermostat and you already know where you should be, and so you're trying to get back up there, but that's the limit that you're going to put on yourself? Have you ever been worth this? Personal questions, but important questions if you want to look inside. Because I can guarantee you guys that if you do not see yourself at this level congruently, you'll never get there. You'll get close, and guess what? The old thermostat will kick in and say, hey, what are you doing up here? Get back down to where you believe you can be. Again, we heard Dave talk just before lunch about the power of identity, the power about belief systems. Now, you can change and adopt different beliefs, but unless you change your identity, nothing will happen. Now, you can change your identity, and I guarantee you everything else from that point will change whether you like it to or not. Right? But it is fundamentally one of the strongest, absolute, crucial factors in any kind of change that either you want to elicit in yourself, or your sales staff, or your friends, or your family, or your clients. Once you understand how to use identity, everything shifts. So, part 2, using it. Now, what a novel concept. It's all right knowing this, and I just wanted to spend some time there, guys, just so you can start to understand that, get this identity thing. Well, maybe there's something there. Right? How many people here just probably learnt a little bit more about themselves than they were thinking about when they woke up for breakfast this morning? Right? Absolutely. Right? And the tragic thing is nobody's teaching this. Yeah, we tell you to go out there, get pumped up, hit the road, here's your new strategies, and Monday morning you got a flat tire. And you run the same patterns. Well, this is your chance to be able to take all of the amazing ideas and implementation strategies that you've been learning here and be able to say, right, bang, here's how I'm going to implement them. I'm going to work on who first? Absolutely. So, now you understand the power of identity. Let's see how we can use that knowledge to our advantage when it comes to increasing our sales. Because, otherwise, you shouldn't be here. Organizing principle. Integrity-based selling focuses on getting people to buy because of who they are, not what you sell. Now again, for some of you, that may be a novel concept. Some of you may have never thought of that before. But I guarantee when you understand the principle, and it doesn't get much simpler than chunking it down to that, it can add radical transformations to your marketing, to your results, to your coaching, to just about everything you do. To get somebody to buy your product or service based upon who they are, as opposed to what you're selling, is a different shift in paradigm. But one that hits them, bang, where it hurts. Now, I'm not saying don't sell on details of your product. That has to come as well. But if you combine the two, we really get sexy. This distinction, huge, gargantuan, enormous. The one thing, if you take nothing else away from the next 45 minutes, which you'll be taking lots away, then this distinction is huge. Please, 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 just understand you can sum up integrity-based selling in one statement. Getting people to buy because of who they are, not what they sell. Alrighty, so step number 1, we have a bit of an exercise on here, and that is, wouldn't it be great to first find out who our customers see themselves as, right, before we go and impose what we believe they are on them. Right? So before you can tie what you sell to their identity, you must first know how they see themselves, or, just as importantly, how they want to see themselves. Because that's where we can really start to apply, I wouldn't say apply pressure, but apply influence for the right reasons. If somebody doesn't see themselves using your product right now because their thermostat or identity is low, what if you were able to raise that expectation and therefore bring them into the buying criteria of your product? Have you just done them a service, yes or no? Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But first of all, we've got to find out who they are and how they see themselves. Some examples, some easy ones. You've got doctors, builders, accountants, mothers, tennis players, cooks, athletes, entrepreneurs, students, cyclists, vegetarians, salespeople, teachers. See, there's a lot of labels already out there. And with those labels comes a set of expectations, comes a set of parameters that most people put their identity into or abide by. So your marketplace, are you going to people that already have a label? And if so, what goes along with that label in society's traditional based model? Once you've had a look at what kind of label that they've got, or what label that you think you could accurately put onto those people in terms of their identity, then ask yourself, what does that imply? Think about how they want to see themselves, or, again, who they would want to be. I.e., builders may want to be efficient or cost-effective. Yeah, accountants may want to be professional. Yeah, mothers may want to see themselves as responsible and caring as part of their identity. Any mothers here with kids? Yeah. Oh, quite a few of you. Want to be responsible and caring? Absolutely. Right? Tennis players may want to be fast and accurate or unbeatable. Yeah, all things that go along with the identity of a tennis player, for example. Cooks may want to be creative, consistent. So rather than talking about the shelf life of your oregano plant, right, if you can tie into the fact that how much more creative that this will make them, it's a different pitch. See where I'm coming from? Tell that I'm not a chef? Absolutely. How can you find out? Now, there's 3 letters that became very powerful yesterday, right, that you guys have all started to see the power of. What a novel concept. After 3, tell me what it is. 1, 2, 3. Ask. Ask. Absolutely. Right? Ask them. Yeah, I mean, that's a paradigm shift all in itself, isn't it? Right? But if you ask them how they see themselves, you will find some fantastic examples. There's some examples of great questions to ask your clients. Yeah, David Lacarney asks a fabulous, fabulous question. Now, he says, what do you want to be known for? Now, do you think identity plays a part in that? You bet your life. So, there's some fantastic questions there. Just give you some examples here. As a builder, what's most important to you? How would you like others to see you? Yeah, what are some of the situations you would do almost anything to avoid happening? What are we setting up there? Pain points. But as we're asking them from their point of reference as their profession or as the person that they are, we're getting stuff that affects their identity. I'm not going to get on to talking about the 2 primary fears and how that all ties in. That'll be GMK 3 or 4 or 5. But it's all about tying into, as long as how they see themselves, you can focus in on what that means to them, you will have some phenomenal information to be able to base your integrity-based selling on. Yeah, what is the price of not having this? Have you ever seen yourself as X? Yeah, you're talking to a runner. Have you ever seen yourself as a professional athlete? Yeah, depending on what kind of sneakers you want them to buy. Right? What would happen if you could? All powerful based questions. Anyway, skip through those. Exercise 1, if you turn to, let's have a look. Turn to phase 2 using it. Step 1, describe your target customers. List their characteristics. That's really important. Go with what you think right now, because they're not all here, they're not all in the room, so you can't ask them. Yeah, and no cell phones, please. Right? But if you were able to think, what are the characteristics of my customers? How do they see themselves? Yeah, what is their profile? What's important to them? How do they want to feel, in my mind? When you do go and ask them, you'll be able to check back and see if there's any differentiation from what you're just about to write down. So step number 2, how do we build up their identity with your product? Wouldn't it make sense that if the identity is so powerful, so important, that if we attach what our product is to it in a way that increases that it become a little more compelling for them to buy? Okay, but first let's have some examples. Right, tanning, just as an example. I don't know where that one came from. Rather than just focus on how fast the beds tan or how cheap the membership is, which I've seen a lot of other companies do, right? What about using market data to link to who they can become, what having a tan does to your self-esteem, find out some market data on the first impressions of people and how much that relates them to getting a job interview, or how much that relates them to increasing the chances of getting a job from an interview, and start tying into their identity at that level. What about Chet when he was doing the shoe client in Canada? Quite clearly showed that the more shoes you have, the more money you make. Right? Yeah, ladies would probably agree with that here, right? Right? But it's the market data would be out there. What if we show statistically that people with a tan just happen to be more successful? Right? Or people with a tan had a better feel about themselves, and therefore were able to communicate themselves better to other people. Yeah, I guarantee the research is out there. What if we actually showed the health benefits of tanning? And re-educated the market? What are we starting to do, guys? Set what? Buying criteria. Absolutely. But now, rather than to say focus on our products or what they do, we're now starting to bring in who the people will become as a result of using them. Learning program. Oh, another out-of-the-blue example. Right? Rather than just focus on graduating percentages or failing school systems, what if you were to talk about the type of person the children are more likely to become through using the product? Now, I'm sure you do that already, but what I'm saying is here to everyone who I use as an example, right? It's about bearing in mind or consciously now knowing the difference between talking about what your product does or even the market conditions about failing schools using market data, and then tying in their identity as to who they can become as a result of taking this product. What about talking about the type of parent that chooses this over traditional methods? What do you think studies could show on that? That the kind of parent that has the courage, the ambition, the focus and the attentiveness of their kids, right, be able to go against the crowd, right, and take them out of a system that has been society's conditioned them to use and into something different as a home learning system, for example. What kind of parents does that make them for buying this product? Something to think about. Doctors, here's a language pattern example which I can give you. Classic, anyone selling to doctors here, or you'll see this as any other kind of industry. First question, do you consider yourself to be a healer? Any doctors in the room, by the way? No? Any chiropractors in the room? See me after? No? Okay. Do you consider yourself to be a healer? Right, what is a doctor going to say, guys? Absolutely. Why? It's not a challenge, it's uncertain on his identity, not his profession. No. It's not like saying, do you consider yourself to be a good doctor? Oh, yeah, of course. Whatever. Do you consider yourself to be a healer? Most people got into that profession for that very reason. Whether they consider themselves to be good, bad, indifferent, or is irrelevant, if you target their identity. Or use a tag question. Anyone here familiar with tag questions? It's where you actually you actually give a statement, but you make it sound like a question. And it's an NLP term. For example, you consider yourself to be a healer, don't you? It's a tag question. Kids use them on parents all the time. You do want to get me the ice cream, Mum, don't you? Do you consider yourself to be a professional? Absolutely. What are they going to say? So again, you're setting buying criteria here using their identity. So do you consider yourself to be a healer? Yeah. Do you consider yourself to be a professional? Of course. Then I know you'll only take a look at products that were proven to heal in scientifically documented cases. Right? Yeah? Excellent. Now, I know you'll appreciate what I have to show you. So the pre-frame that we've gone in there is getting congruency, getting buy-in from them based upon their identity, which they will never invalidate in a million years. Make sense? Yeah, excellent. Hypnotherapy. Rather than focus on techniques and statistics, if you associate them to who they will become as a thinner person or as a non-smoker, if they choose this type of service, right, or who they will become as a result of choosing this type of service, i.e. if there's forward-thinking people go to hypnotherapies, if you want to just go with the crowd, then go and buy a book or go to such and such, what have you. But no, typically the kind of person or the profile of person that uses these services is X, and you set the buying criteria into an identity that they want to become or that they want to congruently be with. I'm sure you do this all the time. Now, identity plays a huge, huge part in this type of service. Why? Because generally, if you're selling something that solves a personality problem or allows them to try and become more, not just increase sales, boom, this is 100% what you need to be looking at. Anybody here used to smoke? Just, quite a few of you. Anyone here given up smoking? All right. I'll show you exactly where this kind of thing plays in. This is why hypnotherapy works so well in smoking, if you have the right practitioner. The problem with most smokers that I've found, and I've worked with smoking interventions, I do a lot of hypnotherapy myself, obviously working across the world with Tony and a lot of other things. What you tend to find is that most smokers, when they quit, they become a smoker who's quit. That's their identity. And then what happens? They start counting how long they've quit for. I'm saying if you've given up, who cares? Why are you counting? Right? You're counting so you can tell your friends how long you lasted before you start smoking again, right? Right? Now, there's a crucial difference here. You can take the same courses, the same books, read the same stuff, have the same support group around you. But if you change your identity from a smoker to a smoker who's quit, you will always be a smoker who's quit. And if somebody's in a crowd and offers you a cigarette, you'll be like, I've quit. All right? I'm a smoker, but I've quit. I guarantee that'll never last. You'll never see anything last long term with that kind of willpower behind it. Now, what if you were to change your identity to that of a non-smoker? How much more effortless does it become when you have your identity supporting you in a habit like that? Boom, it's over. You choose to be a non-smoker versus a smoker who's quit. And I guarantee you, when somebody offers you a cigarette, I'm a non-smoker. It's done. It's over. Right? There's no like, oh, well, yeah. There's no counting. What do you need to count for? Right? It's done. So, in things like this especially, identity plays a massive, massive role. And those smokers that keep going back because they never change their identity to that of a non-smoker. Otherwise, they wouldn't go back. Other examples, people in real estate. Yeah, rather than focus on the square footage of the house, or the golf or the country club down the road, what if you were to focus and talk also about the kind of person that lives in this type of house or neighborhood? And focus on that. And bring that to the table. So we found that this particular area has the highest number of millionaires per square kilometre outside of Manhattan or whatever it is. Or people in this area have this kind of profile, and it's something that they feel a bond with or want to aspire to. That is a completely different pull to the fact that you've got more gadgets in the kitchen than the house they looked at yesterday. Right? Flat out. Consultancy. Again, rather than focus on just solving problems or offering solutions in their business, use market data to show what kind of CEO or purchase manager makes these kind of decisions. So, what we've really found is that, if you want to go for the industry standard, like most wimpy-ass CEOs do, right, or most people that haven't got the courage to make this kind of buying decision or have this kind of foresight, then that's great. This probably isn't for you. See the difference there? Alternative fuels. I don't know where I get these from. Instead of just focusing on price and service you give, what if you throw in market data that shows what kind of forward-thinking companies act in advance of mandatory legislation as opposed to those who play catch-up and what that means? Right? And again, I don't know you business guys. I'm just trying to pick examples out of the air at 3 o'clock this morning, right, in order to be able to add value so you get this. Websites, IT. Instead of just showing how much money they'll save or sales that they'll make in the long run, if you were to find out or get to know the client and show them why this solution supports their identity in the marketplace, boom. Again, the question that Dave asks, absolutely phenomenal and crucial at this point. What do you want to stand for? What do you want to be remembered for? See, most people, that's completely different to asking them how many sales do you want to make next week. Touches them in a different place. And if you were able to show them that through the technology or the website that you're promoting, that's going to further their identity that's important to them, it shows them, to the world that they're more forward-thinking or customer-friendly or supporting the community. That's, again, a different ballgame to just focusing on how more efficient that they will become through having your services. Is this helpful, guys? Useful? Bike Friday. I don't even go there. Right. Rather than the benefits of just focusing on, say, that of a folding bike, who do they become as a result of having this freedom? Just simply to get you to think differently, rather than focus on the kind of qualities that go along with my product, who do you become as a result of buying it? Right? Or how can I support your identity as a result of getting my product? Because that changes everything. Dentist. If somebody has low self-esteem, they may not value the power of their smile. Right? Are they going to want to go to the dentist? Do they think it's important? If you're telling them about your new pain-free surgical drill that they're not going to feel when you do root canal, how appealing is that for them to be running a path to your door? Right? It's not going to happen. Right? But what if you were to use market data to explain how powerful a smile is and show them that that's important, and then ask them, are you the sort of person who likes to put a smile on other people's face? Ooh, that's a nice one. Who here doesn't? Who here can tell me that the best of them doesn't show up when they're busy putting a smile on somebody else's face? Well, do you know the best way to do that is to reciprocate or initiate the law of reciprocation? By smiling first. So if you smile to someone like that, you can't help but smile back. So can you see how going for the identity rather than the pain-free root canal option, it can make a difference on trying to convince people where they need to go? Mortgage brokers, we're doing pretty well here, guys. Yeah, rather than just focus on how good your rates are, yeah, or how much you provide for your service, what if you were to show the person, yeah, or to show what kind of person they will become as someone who's totally in control of their finances? Yeah? Or get them associated to the identity of a homeowner rather than as a tenant. I guarantee you, anyone who sees themselves as a tenant will never buy a house. You make one shift in identity to support the possibility or get them associated to being a homeowner, they'll never rent again. Done. So you get the idea, right? Right, next, we show the downside. Right? Why? Because this is a crucial, crucial part. Yeah, and it's one organizing principle that I'm going to write down, and I know you guys are so smart you're going to get this instantly, and that's this. Yeah. If your customers feel that their identity is compromised in any way by not taking your product, or, hey, guys, check this, by instead taking your competitor's product, oh, sneaky, then it becomes far more compelling for them to buy it. I'll say it again. If your customers feel their identity is compromised in any way through not taking your product, or by taking your competitor's product, then it becomes far more compelling for them to buy it. Powerful statement. Okay? See, identity comes in just about at every single level. There isn't an angle or a part of society that you could look at through business, personal, professional life where this doesn't show up. And it drives people to do the most amazing and insane and crazy things. It really does, based upon who they think they are rather than what they think they should do. Give a brief personal example. I've always pretty much kept myself in shape. And last year I decided to do something that really raised the bar. And I've always been fairly athletic and ran marathons and struggled along and done all that kind of stuff. But I decided to compete in a race last year called the Marathon des Sables. I don't know if anybody has heard of that. Right? The Marathon des Sables. It's French for Marathon of the Sands. And basically it's a marathon a day, back-to-back for 7 days across the Sahara Desert. Right? Apart from day 4, which is a double marathon non-stop. It's 54 miles. And that's carrying it's carrying 30 pounds in weight in temperatures of up to 130 degrees across some of the tallest sand dunes in North Africa. And I thought, well, it's all about raising the bar and let's test my identity. And if we all think we're superhuman, sign on the dotted line. Wrong, but thank you for playing. So there I was this time last year, jetted off to Morocco to compete in the toughest foot race on earth. And it was an incredible experience. And there's certain times where, for a start, you're rationed to 9 litres of water a day, flat out. That's for cooking, washing, hydrating, whatever you want to use it for. Once it's gone, it's gone. You're carrying all your own equipment. And at night, it's so cold, it's about -2 at night, that you're absolutely freezing. And it's like a game of chess. You take a sleeping bag. If you take a heavy sleeping bag, it's harder to run, but you stay warm at night. I took a light sleeping bag, and you could literally feel the scorpions crawling across your legs at night. It was not fun. And it's times like that where you really have to draw on every resource that you think you have. And it's times like that that you really do find out who you are. And on day 4, I woke up with food poisoning. I tried to rehydrate one of the packs of food and save water, and it backfired, and I woke up about 4 in the morning with sickness and diarrhea. Couldn't actually lift my rucksack the next day, and I've got to start a 52-mile run, having ran the best part of 100 miles already. And I hadn't really trained much for this because, as a lot of you know, my lifestyle is constant traveling. And it was so tough that I couldn't run for the first 4 hours. My shoulders were in spasms carrying the weight. And I got to a point where I'd given everything. You talk about identity and the power of identity. I gave everything, and I thought, I can't do it. It was getting dark. It was about 8 o'clock at night, and I was only halfway. I had to run through the night with nothing but a head torch, compass, and nobody around. And so it's times like that you really start asking yourselves questions about, what am I really made of? And I was about to throw in the towel. And it was at that moment, that a blind guy in his 50s ran by me, tied to his guide. Tied to his guide. And talk about a recalibration of identity. Right? It was so profound that when I finished that day, and I finished the race and everything else, but the most profound thing I took out of that was not running 200 miles across the Sahara in dust storms and God knows what. It was about interviewing that guy when I got back to the camp that night and saying, why do you do this? And it was about finding his belief system as to who he knew he was, not who he thought he was, not who we think we are. Who he knew he was inside could accomplish anything. And I totally concur with what Dave was saying earlier about, the power of belief. If you knew there was no limits, what would you do? My question to you guys is this. If you can make your clients believe that, if you can inspire your client's identity through something that you do or something you can bring to the table, I guarantee you price will not be an option. Your buying criteria will have just shifted to a place that no other competitor can touch you. It's a very profound example, but it blew me away completely and totally shifted what I got out of that event. The lesson is this, the pain of not doing it was more than the pain of doing it. Why? You can write this down. It's because personal ambition is totally tied to identity. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be sitting in the room right now. So what is the ambitions of your clients? What are their goals, dreams, aspirations? Because I guarantee you, achieving them is tied to their identity, but not as powerfully as not achieving them will threaten their identity. If you can focus on that, I guarantee you, you'll have an advantage, competitive advantage, that will just take your sales to a new direction, take your focus to a new direction, and above all, probably take yourselves to a new direction. Upgrading your own identity. We talked about how powerful identity's been. There isn't a person in this room right now that doesn't get that. We've talked about how we can impact sales through appealing to or upgrading our client and customer's identity. But hey guys, guess what? What about us? Here is a very simple exercise that you can go through in order to be able to upgrade who it is that you see yourself as. And do it right, and guess what you could look like? Absolutely. It's the last graphic. It was the last one at night, and I'm not even going to make excuses. But no, there's 3 questions there that you want to consider. A, what beliefs do I have that may have been holding me back? Totally ties in with the last section, amazing section that Dave just gave. What beliefs will I have to change in order to remember who I really am? Now, what is the presupposition there? That you were that person all the time. You just simply forgot. And what habits will I have to adopt, condition, or change in order to reinforce or become this person? Please take the time that this deserves. It's life-changing. After that, you can put a little identity statement together, and there's a little formula that I've put in there for you that you can all have fun with. Right? And I'm sure you can all get the distinction from just being, for example, like, I'm just a business owner, as opposed to an incredible, resourceful entrepreneur who never gives up and produces outstanding results. See, that's a different sense of self. That's called raising your thermostat. Now, I give that to everybody as a gift for you to be able to take away and do that at whatever place or whatever leisure that you want to do so. But I guarantee you, the more gusto that you give that, the more profound the effects will be in your life.
This was a Chet Holmes International production.